In terms of teaching, I suppose the first thing is that because I discovered samba myself through a workshop, and as I said earlier, it was literally a light bulb moment for me. It changed my life. I like to think that I've given other people the same opportunity to have that life-changing experience through music. For me, it's much more a developmental tool that, allows for all sorts of other skills to develop, like communication skills, listening skills, for people to develop self-confidence, for people to learn about teamwork and the fact that sometimes the team is more important than the individual. And it doesn't happen obviously with everybody. It might only happen with one person out of 1,000, but if it happens with 1 out of 1,000, it's still worth doing. Workshop-wise, we work in a number of different schools, youth clubs and all sorts of community settings. We do a day in a local primary school in St. James's Primary School every Friday, all day, 8 classes, 9 o'clock in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon, back-to-back sessions.
My name is Melissa Hogan. I'm the coordinator of Early Focus, which is a project that we run here in the school, in St. James's Primary School in Basin Lane. It's been here for probably the guts of 20 years. I deal with a lot of the children in the school that might present with needing some extra support for behaviour and emotional support. We just try to coordinate stuff for children to bring into the school to help them actually just be in a better place to learn and to feel good about themselves. A lot of the funding for the Creative Schools stuff is short term. From my understanding of it is it's kind of short term. The maxim of it takes a village to raise a child. I suppose that's what I'd see Samba in our school as being part of our village, and it's a consistent part of our village. It's a predictable part of our village, and Simeon, Niall and Graham are here most weeks, if not 3 together, 2 of them are here, and the children know what to expect, and there's a particular direction that the sessions go each week. There's the start-up, the warm-ups, the this, the that, the chat, the banter, and then the music. We've done a lot of work with wellness practices, mindfulness, sensory integration, all those kind of things, talk therapy, draw and talk, and we hadn't really considered music as a way of supporting children. We tried it for a year and it went really well, and we've continued with it ever since.
So I've been working with Masamba as a class teacher. I know that Masamba gives them an opportunity to make noise, make some rhythms, but most importantly it gets them to work as a part of a team, and that's something that is absolutely invaluable.
I think a lot of it, I often talk to Simeon about this, the importance of rhythm and teaching children rhythmic patterns, because our bodies respond to rhythm in a particular way, and there's something about the beat of a drum and the repetitive nature of learning a pattern that seems to do something to the psyche of the person.
Well, I know that involvement in playing a musical instrument improves your brain health and improves your brain development and improves your cognitive abilities, and there's been loads of studies on this in the education field of how children that play a musical instrument, particularly percussion actually, do better in school.
With tablets and iPads and all this kind of stuff, children are playing by themselves and they're doing stuff by themselves, whereas when they're part of the samba band, they have to, first of all, they have to share instruments, they have to take their turn on a certain instrument, they have to move on to the next instrument, they have to try out something new. So I think it's really important socially.
Apart from just the pure enjoyment factor, I just think there's something very beautiful about learning rhythms, and actually as a collective, apart from as an individual being able to knock out a beat, that as a collective you're all part of something.
Yeah, I'm Rob.
I'm Ashlyn.
And you guys are brother and sister?
Yeah. Our mother, she brought us up to the rehearsals in Ballyone to keep us away from, I suppose, from
everything that was going on around us. Yeah.
Sarah used to be the teacher in Munch. In
Yeah.
Ballymun.
So Sarah worked for Masamba and came to Ballymun every Thursday.
So she did the workshops with us. That's how we got, I suppose, the introduction to Masamba, the bigger picture.
Seeing their development over that time was the most rewarding thing for me. Just seeing how their concentration, their participation, all the basics. We were asked to go out, and the group was already up and running Munch in Ballymun. It was the main tutor there, and I remember Ashlyn. I think she was about 12, and she was so giddy, so very quite hyper. She was full of life. Let's put it that way. And Rob's always been quite, when I say solid, things wouldn't come necessarily easy to him. He'd have to work a bit, but when he got it, he really got it.
From that we kind of progressed as we grew older. The U band was not for us, I suppose, because we weren't youth anymore. We were able to move on to the adult band. We weren't naturally talented, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it was the same for Ashton. There was a time when I was in the band in Ballymun, and it was just a case of going there to hang out, have a laugh. We got given out to loads by Sarah.
And he was kind of testing me a little bit, and it took me a few weeks, probably a couple of months before I think he started to realise that this was okay.
But eventually she struggled on. She kept pushing us. She kept
because she
giving
knew
out to
that.
us.
She knew there was something there.
Yeah, she knew she could get us to a stage where we could actually be good.
Watch them grow. They've been to Brazil. They've really come out of themselves, both of them.
I never thought when I was younger that I'd be into Brazilian music. Even thinking back to it now, it's a bit crazy because I'm into heavy stuff. I'm into rock music, I'm into metal. And I still love that, but on the other side I do love samba. And for me, it developed me into a person who's more sociable. I like to get involved in stuff now, whereas when I think back to when I was younger, I wouldn't normally put my hand up to be involved in stuff. So it has brought me out of my shell. To be honest with you, if I think of me without samba, if I didn't have samba, if I didn't have my samba, it would be, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'm not saying I'd be a drug addict, but I can't imagine life without my samba.
The children in the school come from a poor socioeconomic background, so there might be one-parent families, and there might be families where only one parent works, or maybe no parent works, so they would be supplementing their income from the social welfare. A lot of them come from the local flats, the Basin Street flats, and there'll be a lot of social problems in the flats, and a lot of antisocial behaviour. So children are coming to school tired because of fighting that's going on in the flats, the noise that keeps them up at night. People out drinking till late, people taking drugs outside their houses. So a lot of children are coming to school in a kind of a flighty kind of state.
So that you're living in an area that has generational missed opportunities.
For any of us to be exposed to what some of them are exposed to, where do you find a way to process that, So I think having modalities and practices like samba in the school gives a way for a child to express, because it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be cognitively thinking about, talking to a therapist about what's going on. It's almost like you need a way of expressing energetically what's going on for you in your body.
And the after school of samba was my breakaway from reality of going to school. It just broke up the week. It was something to look forward to, and it was an initiative to go to school. It gave us that more.
It gave us a push to look forward to something.
We had so many opportunities to be involved in a lot. I was mixed with groups, and because I had a gig on a Saturday, I wasn't socialising with them. It just nipped that in the bud, and it was great.
What the Samba project has done in the schools that it's in has helped give some form of discipline to the children within the Samba project.
One of the parts of my job is to try and improve attendance in the school, and we find that in areas like this there's a big drop off in how many kids come to school on a Monday and on a Friday.
Most pupils would have left school at 12 when they could do, at 14 when they could do, and at 16 as they do now.
It's one of the main reasons why kids will come to school on Friday. It's very easy to say, oh, I've done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll take Friday off now. But Masamba is a real magnet. It really draws kids into the school, and we see really good numbers of children attending.
The bit Simeon has shared with me about his life and his travels, I think he gets the children and he gets their struggle, but there's something really endearing about him and the way he responds to the children and speaks to the children.
He gets great fun out of the children by the way he interacts with them. I know a lot of them really look up to him.
He gets that they can make a choice to be more than they might actually think that is possible of them, and I think he holds that belief for all the children he's working with. We all have a choice at the end of the day. Even when we're really small children, we always have choices about what we can engage in.
Kept us going, yeah, we literally did. And then we had trips away and workshops what to do. Well, I was about 15, I think you were probably about 17.
That was pretty special, but even just without the kids that went to Brazil, just doing gigs and going different places, a lot of them would never leave Dublin, would never leave their area. So even just taking them on a bus, like to Kildare or something, was huge. Do you know what I mean?
His inspiration to us then was the introduction to the bigger world of samba, because we were just rehearsing in Ballymun at this stage.
Even if he's having a tough time at some sessions, he'll go and he might say, oh, this fella or that fella, and they're doing this or they're doing that. But I've never seen him give up on a child. And he always tries to pull them back in. See, I mean, from our school's point of view, again, we're dependent on funding year on year. I mean, it is costly, there's no doubt about it, to have Masamba in the school every Friday.
Dublin City Council has a small amount of money for community arts, and by small I mean that if you get a grant of 2,500 you're doing very well. We get sponsorship from the City of Dublin Vocational Educational Committee because of the schools classes that we do, and because of the youth group that we keep, and they help supply teachers for that. But there's no money put in to support that, to support the development of that, and that has made the arts very one-sided in a bourgeois context, in that if you're in a private school you can do your elocution lessons, you can do your acting lessons, all of that type of thing goes with the fees that your parents pay into the school. If you're in what's called in this country a DESH school, which is a school in a disadvantaged area, you get none of that. None whatsoever.
Community development programs have been cut. See, the government just thought that we weren't doing anything on our own. Everybody has to have a job. But it wasn't about developing people as people. It was about getting everybody into a job. A job is not going to fix you having a drug addiction. A job is not going to fix your childhood. Being involved in something is, and you can't get there without that foundation.
What community arts tries to do is redress that balance.
It's the relational element. They're here weekly and the children know them. They're not just coming in for 6 weeks and out the door. So that's what I see as important. And in terms of Dublin City Council or the Department of Education or whoever it is that would fund initiatives like this, I think that needs to be actually explored. It's not just good enough to was in an artist for a few weeks and was out again. We're seeing a huge cohort of children being exposed to this, which, and we are the envy of a lot of local schools because, we actually have this capacity to offer this. For as long as that can continue, we will definitely have Samba here in the school. Most
children, I would say 99% of children, come out of Samba with a huge smile on their face. Not every child is sporty, not every child is artistic in a drawing or painting kind of way, but every child can pick up a stick and they can beat a drum, and I know that simplifies what it is that they're doing, but they can take part in Samba, and I think it's such a brilliant thing for them to come out and having had such a lovely experience.
Sometimes team is more important than the individual, and then obviously if you take that one step further, people can take that out onto the street and use it to raise awareness around a local issue in their community, or to protest against something that maybe they feel is damaging the quality of their lives. So it can be about personal development, but it can also be about the development of the wider community.
I'm actually doing a degree at the moment in community development. I can see two sides. I can see the side where you live in that, and I can see the side where I've grown up around community development, and now I feel like I'm in the position to spread it, to develop it more, and because I have experience, and that's why I think benefits me.
They need examples, I suppose, and if
Yeah.
they wanted an example, they could use us.
In my mind, I was seeing a phrase, finding what makes your heart sing. If any of us can find what makes our heart sing, we're not going to end up making choices that is going to break our hearts. You know, we want to do something that actually makes our hearts bigger and more expansive.
Stick with it. You'll get somewhere. You'll get loads out of it. You'll come out a
Leadership
better
skills.
person. You'll get leadership skills. You'll get all the confidence you want. Going out in front of crowds, doing shows.
There's just too many pluses. I mean, I can't think of a reason why I wouldn't have it in the school, to be quite honest with you.
I know that some people would say that banging a drum doesn't require much discipline. But if you got to bang drums in different keys and at different times and come in the right place, then it does begin to develop discipline. Now, it can take a year or two before you get to that discipline, because all children want to deconstruct before they reconstruct. So you give them something, they take it apart. Then they begin to put it back. And if you can get them to put it back the way that they took it apart, they enjoy it.